Welcome to Kansas City Real Talk, brought to you by KCRAR. I'm Bobbi Howe.
And I am Alex Gehring.
First off, I need to say huge thank you to the amazing Jeff Carson for filling in for me with the last few episodes that we recorded while we were at Recharge. I had to go to NAR and do some budget and finance meetings, and so I actually wanted to be at Recharge so much this year, and I couldn't be there. So a big thank you to our good friend of the podcast, nerd of the podcast, Jeff Carson, for filling in for me.
And I always have such a good time with Jeff. Mm-hmm. It was a ball.
So today what we're going to be talking about is the power of networking. We're going to be bringing on the chair of the YPN Young Professionals Network Committee. Michael McReynolds is the chair. However, talking about networking, that's one of the things that has made YPN so powerful over the years, is just the networking of bringing people together. You know, often I tell people that, you know, when I go to a convention, but you can't afford to get into the convention, you should do LobbyCon. Just sit in the lobby and sit and talk to people. That's one of the greatest things that we can do, is just network with other people.
For sure, yeah.
What are some of your favorite ways to network with other people and to get to know more professionals in our community?
So that is one of my favorite things about my involvement with the Real Estate Association, for sure. I got involved early on, partially in YPN. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't on the YPN committee for very long. Part of
Were
that
you better
is,
than us?
No, it isn't because I'm better than anybody. I think a big part of it is that I really struggle to go to anything that is after 5 o'clock. When I was selling, I really had a difficult time not scheduling showings after 5, like I know that a lot of people do. So it was really difficult for me to be consistent. But just in general, YPN opened the door to a ton of other opportunities in the association. And it's been a huge place for nurturing of my network within the real estate community. I learn a ton about the industry. I've learned a ton about the industry through the association, but I've also learned a ton about realtor stories and what realtors go through and what brought people into the industry. Things like this podcast where we've talked to over 100 people, right, and had really incredible conversations. All of that comes from the networking opportunities that are available in the association. You and I met through networking, right? Like that's how it is. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean I see the association as the greatest tool for networking within our industry.
100%. I mean, I sit as you were saying that, I started having memories going back, and I can genuinely and honestly say that without YPN, particularly the networking side of things, I would not be sitting here today probably doing this podcast. I certainly would not be the president of Missouri Realtors. I mean, if we go way back in time to 2008, Elizabeth Mendenhall encouraged me to found a Missouri chapter, that they were chapters then, of YPN, that YPN was just getting off the ground with national, with NAR. And so we started that, and then we were up for YPN Chapter of the Year. It was the Missouri Realtors. It was the Minneapolis Yo Pros. That's what their name was. And then there was a group out of Houston, and Tiffany Curry in Houston won that award. But I went out to the NAR convention in San Diego, and I made so many connections with so many people that to this day are still some of the strongest connections that I have. And then everything just started spiraling and growing, and the opportunities that have come my way. You know, I was National YPN chair, which then led me to being on the chair of NAR Strategic Planning Committee, which then led me to being on NAR's Executive Committee. I've been on Finance. All of these things come back to getting involved with the Young Professionals Network and really understanding the network side of that, not necessarily the young professionals part of that. But I believe that both of us have the opportunities we've had in our careers and in our lives, and we are where we are now, going back to there and understanding the correct way to network and to grow. I mean, I still think of my office in North Kansas City that I ran for several years, and I haven't been a part of that organization now for probably 6 years. And I still have agents in that office that reach out to me and say, hey, who do you know in Albuquerque, New Mexico? Who do you know in Portland, Maine? And I always have people because of those networks and understanding the power of it and how we can use that in our business. Too often, what I know you and I see when we go to, it will always be the mid-year meetings in D.C. or when we go to the annual convention for NAR, wherever it happens to be, is that so many people stick with their local crew and they just stay within that local circle, as opposed to, I may not see them all the time, but I could see my local people all the time. Let's go talk to these other people and find out what's going on in their market. What are they doing? Who are the people that I need to know? And really utilizing that time and everything that comes with it.
I think that your experiences on the national level, I haven't had the same experiences on the national level, primarily because of what I had been going to national meetings to do.
Right.
So when you go there as part of the MLS board, you're primarily with that MLS crew, and you are talking to vendors, and you're putting strategies together for the next 5 to 10 years, right? And you don't have quite as much time to be in committees and build those professional relationships that help. Yeah. Right. And so it's been, and I started, I remember there was a time where I was going to the meetings before I was part of the MLS board, and now I get to go to the meetings again on my own terms and do what I'd like to do, which is great. So I look forward to having the opportunity to spend more time with people and network at those levels. But my national network comes from the 30 Under 30 organization, right? And so the Realtor Magazine 30 Under 30, I still receive referrals from that network on a regular basis. People reach out because they need. We got a lot of people moving to Kansas City, right?
Yep, we do.
So there are all sorts of benefits that have come from all levels of the organization, local, state, and national, for sure.
You know, and one of the good things for me, because when you started going to those things, you had a specific obligation when you showed up to do XYZ. My first 4 to 5 years, I really didn't have a lot of specific obligations. So I could LobbyCon, walk around, get to know the people, which then led to the opportunities for showing up there and having a responsibility to someone back home to bring back information, to sit in certain meetings, but not have the opportunity to do other things. And so I think I was very lucky in that, you know. And when I got started, we were the St. Joe Association of Realtors. We didn't have KCRAR. And, you know, there was only a couple of us going out there anyway, so I couldn't even just hang out with my regular people. Like, I had to go make new friends. Well, I guess I could have sat in my hotel room the whole time, but, you know. That's actually what I want to do now is, like, I get to these things, I'm like, I just want, by like 7 o'clock, like, okay, it's time to go to my hotel room and just be by myself. I'm peopled out now.
That was definitely me at President's Circle this last go around. I was like, I'm tired.
I'm peopled out.
I'm going to bed.
Yes.
Well, speaking of, we have our legislative conference coming up in June.
Yes. Actually, just like a couple of days after this episode comes out, because I think I'm flying out on the 31st. But yes, that first week of June, we have our mid-year.
Late this year.
The next few years, the timeline is always like early to mid-May at the latest, but we're still working through having the Marriott Wardman close down, and we had to start all new contracts again. So for a couple of years, it's a little bumpy. We couldn't get the dates we wanted, but I'm actually super excited this year because...
We're not going to a baseball field?
We're not going to a baseball field. Love you, Kevin Sears. Thank you for not making us go to another baseball field. The reason I'm excited is because of the timing of it, and my son just graduated 6th grade, and he's out of school, so my kid gets to come with me. Boom. So we got a week together in D.C. He got to go last year with my dad and stepmom and a friend for like a day or two. So we actually get a full week there, and he's super excited to go see all the sites and do all the things. And I'll have an excuse to turn in early every night.
So fun. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
I love it. Well, so Michael McReynolds is the epitome of a networker. I think everybody knows Michael. So he's our guest today, and I'm excited to talk to him. He's the chair of the YPN committee. But before we go bring in Michael, do you have a book bit?
You know I do.
Do, Bobby's book bit.
Casey. All right, so my book today is called Carrots and Sticks, which based on the snacking that you've done in the KCRAR snack room,
Thanks,
you may
Kip.
want some carrots and some sticks.
Thanks, Sam's Club.
You're welcome. I'm thanking you for Sam's Club. It's fine. Carrots and Sticks explains how you can harness the power of incentives Carrots and Sticks, to change your bad behaviors, improve your self-control, and reach your long-term goals. It is written by Ayres, and the quote from the book is, "When it comes to apples, Adam and Eve aren't alone in being impatient when presented with immediate temptation." Yeah. All right. So we got 3 lessons in the book. Lesson 1, waiting always brings uncertainty, which is why we'd rather have a small reward now than a big reward later. In 1981, there was a discovery that Richard Thaler made, and in the study, he asked people to choose whether they'd like to receive 1 apple in 1 year or 2 apples in 1 year and 1 day. Of course, most people chose the second option. Who cares about an extra apple or extra day when you have to wait for a year for it anyways? However, when he gave them the same choice in the present, namely getting 1 apple today or 2 apples tomorrow, the vast majority opted for the immediate reward. And that's because when making decisions about the near future, we hate uncertainty. As soon as an instant reward is made available to us, all bigger rewards become less attractive if we have to hold out a little longer for them. Lesson number 2, we hate losing unless we're losing something we don't own yet. And I love this example that they gave in the book is if you give monkeys the options between 2 slices of apple with a 50% chance of one being taken away and 1 slice of an apple with a 50% chance of getting another one, they'll always choose the second option. Even though the outcome is exactly the same, they'd rather not have something and then lose it. So they'd rather not take that risk. And there are some things we're very much willing to lose. Everything we don't yet have. This is the reason that most people don't save nearly enough for their retirement, because this is something we can use to turn into our advantage. He created a program called Saving More Tomorrow, which encourages people to commit saving a tiny percent of their income should they get a raise. Since it's not cash they don't shell out now, most people agree and dramatically improve their savings over time. And then finally, lesson 3, use 1 gigantic stick to get it together instead of fiddling around with a lot of little carrots. Once you know that we spend a lot more of our time avoiding losing than chasing the next win, you'll also understand why sticks, punishments, work better than carrots, rewards. We've always talked about the pain versus pleasure method. People will run away from pain faster than they run towards pleasure. Imagine the government offered you $10 for every cigarette you did not smoke. That could add up to a lot of money, couldn't it? Yet it's very unlikely that you'll give up your precious ciggies because you don't mind not getting those $10. But flip it around. How much more would you fight the urge to not smoke if I told you that every single cigarette means $10 straight out of your pocket? Not only that, but they're going to give it straight to someone you don't like. That sounds a lot more powerful, right? But here's the real trump card. What if in order to be able to buy cigarettes in the first place, you had to pay a $5,000 smoker's license, which is only good for 1,000 cigarettes? Faced with an incredibly hard punishment up front, most people wouldn't even begin smoking, and those who already are would likely quit, simply because all of a sudden they can't afford it. So forget the little carrots, use big sticks. And so that is our book, Carrots and Sticks, by Ayres.
That monkey illustration is fantastic.
Right?
I want you to, can you send that to me?
I can send that to you.
It's good.
It is a good illustration. I loved it. Because it's literally the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But they want the one where they're not going to lose.
Did you hear me scoff when you read the rule at first?
I did.
Because I thought it was kind of I thought it sounded funny. It was like, we hate to lose unless. Yes. And I'm like, no, I always hate to lose. Something we don't already have
yet.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I just don't like losing. So that is our book, Carrots and Sticks. And we need to go get Michael McReynolds. I'm guessing he's right outside waiting for us.
Let's get him.
Kansas City weather can change in an instant, and your comfort should never fall behind. When your air conditioning isn't keeping up, call AB May. Their skilled technicians deliver expert service, honest answers, and solutions that last. From installs to service calls, AB May is prepared to help with professionalism and care. Trusted by generations of Kansas City homeowners, they're committed to doing things the right way every time. Call your service tech from AB May or visit them at abmay.com.
Call your serviceman from AB May.
Welcome back to Kansas City Real Talk, brought to you by KCRAR. Bobbi and I are here with Michael McReynolds. Michael, what's going on, man?
Oh no, not that guy.
Yeah, well, I'm just
that guy.
This isn't a video podcast, and
Right.
and if it was, we'd have to do an intro with you like sliding and jumping, and then like magically showing. You do a lot of video magic, man.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of your thing.
I guess so, or so I've been told.
I watch them and they're hilarious.
Yeah, they're
good.
fun.
You're very good, and also you're a bartender and in your own bar.
In my own mind, yes.
Yeah.
No, I used to bartend for a while, so every now and then I just like to whip stuff up for fun. But again,
Like
just
Tom
kind
Cruise
of
in
like,
Cocktail?
Huh?
Like Tom Cruise in Cocktail. Oh, you're probably too young for this. Oh,
yes.
God. I'm
No,
way too old
yeah.
now. I realized.
Like him, exactly.
Like it makes
I watched Days of Thunder last night, okay? Jeez.
I call myself Tom when I'm making cocktails.
There you go. Well, now that we've plugged your Instagram handle, start out hold on. What is
Wait,
your
I was
Instagram
like, no, we did
handle?
not.
We didn't, but we plugged your Instagram.
It's michael.kansascity.
Oh, there we go.
So pretty easy
Okay.
to remember.
Okay.
Check him out.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us a little bit about you and your real estate journey and what got you into the business and what you're doing as YPN chair.
Oh boy. Okay.
That's a lot.
How far
That's a
back
lot.
are we going?
You can go back to when you were born. That's fine.
Okay, North Carolina in Asheville in 1987. So I mean, what got me into real estate? It was kind of a weird, bumpy, random path that I took. Originally, I wanted to be a pilot in the Air Force. When that didn't pan out, I kept working in restaurants because it's just what I knew. Until I was 28, and then I finally decided to throw in the towel on restaurants because it's a very difficult industry to be successul in. I mean, shout out to service industry workers, but they know it's a very difficult industry to become very successful in. And so I went into an outside sales role for about 3 years, learned a lot about sales. It was a very difficult job. It was a door-to-door B2B, knocking on doors and trying to get them to buy supplies from you kind of a job. And when I realized that there wasn't as much growth opportunity in that job as I thought there was, I decided to throw in the towel on that one. And then little shout out to Eric Haynes. We used to work in the restaurant industry together, and I saw a post of his on Facebook that was like, just sold. And I was like, oh, real estate. I had never even thought of that before.
Was it the one without his shirt on?
Probably, yes.
Okay, all right.
I saw that billboard, Eric, you crazy SOB. What's wrong with you? No, I'm just kidding. It was a hilarious billboard, and it got a lot of attention. So there you go. More power to you. So we grabbed a beer, and he kind of explained real estate and how to get in and what it's all about. And I was like, that's what I want to try. So now it's been just a little over 6 years, and it's been kind of a wild ride, as we all know, in this industry over the last 6 years.
That's a wild 6 years to be in this industry. Yeah, man.
It is.
But it's been, it's had its ups and downs, but it's been good overall. I've really enjoyed it. So
Tell us about your association journey.
that was,
How did you get involved?
I felt like I was just kind of doing real estate, just like surface level, just doing the transactions, obviously taking care of my clients. But as I started to see more of like Rock the Block and some of the stuff that happened behind the scenes, I knew I wanted to be more involved. And so I was just kind of asking around. And, over here at KCRAR, we say that YPN is kind of like the gateway committee to get into others. And so that I was told was kind of the easier, I guess, one to get on. And so hopped on to try to get more involved. And then it's kind of evolved to what it is now. Then was vice chair, now chair. And I'm also on like the events committee and the RPAC committee, and just kind of trying to do as much as I can behind the scenes.
Before you know it, you're going to be president of the association. So just hang on there. It's coming for you. That's what happens. We find talent like you, and we're like, we're going to pull
Watch
you
out,
in.
KCRAR.
I'm here for it. It's fine. So YPN, Young Professionals Network. Network is right there in the name.
Correct.
Why is it so incredibly important for real estate professionals not only to network with their own client database, but with other real estate professionals? Why am I going to want to go hang out with the YPN group or any group within the realtor community?
Yeah, I mean, it's
because I don't really like realtors.
In a lot of cases, not just in real estate, it's very easy to be critical of someone that you've never met before, you haven't seen face to face, had a conversation with. So, real estate, it's very important to get along with, be cordial with, the agents on the other side. We're all working towards the same goal, right? clients want to sell their homes and other clients want to buy the home, right? So our job is to make the process as streamlined and easy as possible. So the networking aspect of that is to get to know your colleagues and get to know the people on the other side, and ultimately take care of our clients, because that's the ultimate goal, right? Is to take care of the client. So, I'm sure we've all been in situations where there's been some rough waters between agents trying to get through a transaction, and I've been through a lot of ones where it's extremely awesome and cordial, and we're on the same page and we're trying to help each other out, and obviously those are the smoothest transactions. So YPN tries to, we try to engage new agents and new members coming into the industry to help them network and grow their sphere, both with other agents and industry partners. And then, even well-established people in the industry as well. We like to say that
Well-established.
Old.
You're saying
yes,
old.
But here at YPN, we like to say that young is an attitude, not an age. So we are very inclusive with the well-established people
Young
in the
at
industry. Exactly. Young at heart. That's all that matters. So,
Well, I wasn't around for when YPN got started, but I was there for its 5th birthday party. And that is one thing that's always been true about YPN. I feel like I remember that 5th birthday party is one of my first introductions.
Was that at Boulevard?
To YPN. It was at Boulevard,
yeah.
And we all had like
That was where our first event was
all this
Boulevard.
stuff.
So that was a shout back to that.
There you go.
That's what it was.
And
because I have been around since the beginning.
I remember looking around the room though, and it was an extremely age diverse group of people, and it didn't matter. It wasn't something. Nobody like stood out because they were there. They stood out a little bit to me because it was one of my first events, and I was like, I thought the word "young" was in the name. but looking around the room, everybody integrated so well, and it was clear that it really was about making sure that these relationships stay strong.
absolutely. I mean, if Jeff Carson is allowed to come to YPN events, then anyone is allowed to come to YPN events.
He's an avid listener. He's going to hear that.
Good. That's why I plugged him. Love you, Jeff.
Plugged it. There we go. That's good. That's good.
We talked about him earlier because he's been filling in for me for the last 3 episodes.
That's true.
And I believe I called him a nerd earlier, so it's fine.
Poor Jeff. Jeff, we love you,
Jeff,
man.
we love you.
Yes.
You should come hang out with us.
I did not hear the last 3 episodes. I didn't even
Yep.
know he was filling in.
Yeah,
So that was
see?
a good name to
There
drop.
you go. I love it. It's
right.
awesome. So, one of the things, and we were just talking about, is YPN focuses a lot on younger professionals and kind of getting them built up, teaching them how to build their sphere and to do all of those things. Along with, that's why I've always said it's a two-way street. It's the experienced professionals also being a part of YPN to help, teach and engage and to bring everyone in. So what tips do you have for brand new agents coming in who may not be fully comfortable in a networking setting? How can they kind of grow themselves to be more comfortable, show up with a friend, or what do they need to do? Or just raise my hand like, I'm a newbie.
Yeah, maybe coming with a friend or grabbing a couple people on your team if you're on a team, or a couple people from your office. I mean, obviously those can kind of help you feel more comfortable. I feel like that crew, the YPN organization is very social and inclusive and fun. And, we have happy hours and events where we've had some new people come in and we kind of pull them into the group and try to introduce them to people and stuff like that. So you don't necessarily have to come with a friend. You're going to be introduced to people and included. But
people are going to notice you're the new person in the room, and they're going to walk up to you. Who are you?
Right.
Yeah. Which, if you're a new person and you come, you will absolutely get to know me because I'm that person that walks up to you and I'm like, who are you? You're new. Hi, I'm Michael. Come talk. Have a beer. So, yeah, I mean, I would say just come, right? Kind of break the ice, have a little bit of courage and just come and kind of grow your network that way. The easiest way, obviously we send out little email blasts about events, but we also have the Facebook group, which I'm sure you guys have maybe plugged before, YPN Kansas City. It's a blue label where we update happy hours and events and stuff happening on there. But we try to hit different little local areas around Kansas City. We might be in Overland Park one time. We might be in the Northland another time. Lee Summit, like we bounce around the city to try to kind of include everyone depending on where you live, so you're not having to drive too far away. So
You're not coming up to St. Joe, though.
that would be a little bit of a stretch.
It would be a little bit of a stretch.
Maybe
It's
one
okay.
day.
We're used to coming to Northland. It's okay.
Just really push for
Yes,
that,
that's
and we'll
right,
see if
yeah.
we can get up there.
So do you guys have anything coming up like soon? Like in June?
Because this episode's coming out May 28th.
Okay. Nice plug for our event coming up, Alex. Thank you. Yes, on June 11th, correct? June 11th. It's a Wednesday. We have our big fundraising event. This is going to be Realtors Got Talent. So it's going to be kind of like America's Got Talent, if you've seen America's Got Talent, where we have different people with different acts getting on stage and kind of showcasing their wild, fun, cool talents. And it's to raise money for Habitat for Humanity. So it fits a lot of different buckets, right? It's a fundraiser, so we're raising money for a good cause. It's a networking event, just like YPN kind of is in general. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's at Tin Roof in Westport, which is an awesome venue. So it's a great way to give back to the community, to meet new people, and to have a drink and have fun. So
Who are the judges for America's Got Talent YPN version in Kansas City?
that might be TBD, to be determined.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have a couple of you guys throw your names in the hat, and we'll see if
I
we
feel
have
like Alex
some.
is like saying right now, I'm interested
No,
in
I'm
being
curious.
a judge.
I'm just curious. I don't know if I'm interested in being a judge or
You
not.
don't know if you're interested?
I don't know about that.
Only if he can put on his like Simon Cowell
Right.
face and come in and be
Exactly.
like, "You suck." That was a terrible impression, but
it was. That
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah, that's,
British.
It's,
He's like,
yes,
"This is
yeah,
the
he
worst
is.
performance I've ever seen."
That
I
was
don't know.
that was
Is
better.
what it sounds like?
That was actually
that
you're
was
getting
pretty
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That was pretty okay.
That was solid.
I
Don't
mean-
do impressions for Realtors Got Talent.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not
I
Adam
can-
Ray doing Dr. Phil. I can tell you that much. That's not.
I mean, I can do some impressions, just not of British people, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it was okay. It was pretty good. Just-
second
it was just
round. First round was not.
fine.
Second round was
fine.
good. Yeah,
It
yeah, we got that.
was good.
So we've had a case of giggles today, so
Yeah,
we apologize, but yeah, you're fitting in just perfectly fine.
Love it.
So we talked about some of the events that YPN is putting on, but you also talked about this upcoming event. It's a fundraiser, like that ticked a box that you guys had. So what are some of the goals that YPN has for the year, and what are some of the ways you're going about achieving on those goals?
Yeah. So the Young Professionals Network, right? It's an organization where we can try to expand people's affiliates, colleagues, lenders, title reps, other realtors in the industry, whatever it might be. But also, we throw some big events that are meant to raise funds for charities. A big goal, at least of mine this year, is to try to bring more of the new people in. That's why we started doing new member orientations, where when the new people coming into the industry come and meet at KCRAR to learn some of the ins and outs of the organization and what they have access to, we come in and we give a little plug for YPN to try to get them to come and join. So yeah, I mean,
I got excited about you saying that because that was something that not quite 20 years ago, but 15 years ago was very important, and we never really got going with it. So I'm super excited to hear that that's actually, I'm such an old realtor. Since so long as I've been through a new member orientation, I wasn't aware you guys were showing up and being a part of it, but that is such a key way to grab people on their way in, because they sit through orientation and there is so much stuff coming at them, and it's just like drinking from the fire hose. But having another
Right.
organization step in and say, hey, we're here, we'll hold your hand, we'll walk you through all of this stuff and be here, because we were all new at one point in time. Some of us are young, some of us are not, but just it's a good entry point. It's the gateway drug to the, you didn't say drug earlier, but it really is the gateway drug to the association.
well, and not only necessarily a gateway drug to being on committees and more involved into the association, but it's also like you said, when you're new, there's so many things you're paying for and so much coming at you and so much information, and you're trying to figure out how to navigate this industry, that we come in and we're like, hey, this is free. It's very casual and laid back. And, I think maybe that's another point of YPN is a lot of the committees, all of the committees are great. KCRAR is one of the best organizations in the country. All of our committees are so important, but they can be kind of like intense and go through like legality of things and different stuff, paperwork, stuff like that. Whereas YPN is meant to be a little more of kind of like a casual, easy, laid back, like, hey, come join and kind of take a load off.
Yeah.
Versus all the kind of intense stuff that we go through every now and then.
I like all the intense.
Yeah, you like the intense. You're such an intense with your whoop over there.
Yeah, so obviously part of the goal is to kind of grow the organization, but we hope that it's in benefiting all of the quote unquote members or people that come and kind of be a part of the organization.
Well, I think that's so important because I do feel that especially people of a certain age or people who've been in the business for a while, they can look at the YPN committee and YPN events in general as just an excuse for people to get together and drink. They see it as the party committee. And I think that it's really important to understand that YPN really is the introduction. Like if you're at the orientation meetings, you're doing all this stuff, you're pulling people in. It's way more than just trying to get people wasted at an appraisal discussion.
Yeah.
Right. It's way more than that. It's more than cocktails and CE.
Yeah.
Well,
picture this. Picture like a Jeff Carson or a Kip Cooper or a John Ketchum or a Sidney West or whoever are the presidents and the CEOs and stuff like of KCRAR. How often do you really get an opportunity to have like a one-on-one conversation or a small group conversation with that person, whereas YPN kind of allows you that environment, that atmosphere to kind of be introduced to some of these people that are important in our organization and can probably help you in times of need. And yeah, I think YPN gives you a great opportunity to get in front of those people and meet them in a relaxed environment.
As somebody who's really engaged with people that are newer to the organization, I'm curious on your perspective on this. What are some new things what are some things that newer agents are experiencing in the marketplace? Hurdles that maybe you didn't encounter when you got started, or that Bobbi didn't encounter, that I didn't encounter. What are they experiencing in the marketplace that are pain points for them?
Well, as we all know, with like the lawsuits that happened last summer, that's obviously changed the landscape of real estate. And so navigating that is obviously a big learning curve, even for veteran agents, right? We're also just in a way different market than we were a few years ago. I think, again, being in a comfortable environment where you feel like you can ask questions and network and kind of pick people's brains can kind of help give you some of that insight that veteran agents have been through.
I think it's really hard for new agents right now. I think that the unit, but I think that you can find success. But I agree, having as many resources as you can have available is so beneficial. My first year, the number of units that I did, I did 22 units my first year.
Dang,
wow,
But
that's good.
But that was 2014.
Right.
It was a totally different environment.
Yeah.
There were listings on the market.
Yeah.
When I had investors and I had buyers that wanted to buy a house, you just like pick the house.
Right.
Like it wasn't that crazy.
No.
Yeah.
Most of those, it was my first year. It was all buy sides, right?
Yeah.
Primarily buy sides. So you don't that's not that inventory availability is not necessarily there. That unit availability,
Right.
it just units in general are so far down, and the number of agents compared to 2014 is so much higher.
Yeah.
It's more competitive, and the economic conditions require real levels of support that the association can partially provide. It's not the end all, be all, but it can gives a level of support that can help. Brokerages can, teams can, all of that.
So yeah, that actually almost kind of catapults us into something I wanted to at least touch on for just a minute. But yes, I'm not scared of my numbers. My first year, I did 7 transactions, so a lot fewer than you, but that was also 2019.
Totally different situation.
However, the next year, like kind of right after COVID settled down just a little bit, and then everything went crazy because rates came all the way down to 2.5%, 3%.
Free.
That next year I did 22.
There you go.
So obviously that kind of like started to catapult off. But obviously now with rates back up and prices at an all-time high, buyer activity slowed down quite a lot. So especially new people coming in, the market is just so different than it was even a year or two ago. But yeah, another challenge that we face, I don't know if you guys have talked about this on the podcast yet, is the number of huge corporations, Fortune 500 companies that are buying properties in Kansas City and the United States, all over the United States, that are coming in. So I just had a situation the other day where we were in a bidding war on a house in Kansas City, Kansas. And from everything that I gained from the listing agent and my intuition, at that point in time, we were in the lead, with like 5 minutes left to go until the deadline. And then when I got the call from the listing agent, we had been ousted by a last-second cash buyer. Wasn't able to get too much information on it. Now, I think individuals who happen to have the cash available to be able to buy in cash, more power to you. That's awesome. But what I'm worried about, because I actually pulled up this article that was written in 2023, I believe, like in December of 2023. It states that in Kansas City, there are over 8,000 single-family homes that have been bought by these large companies and converted into rentals. And down below here, it says that single-family homes in Kansas City make up nearly 38% of the region's rental units, the second highest percentage in the nation. Nearly 25% of all single-family homes in Kansas City are offered for rent. So another problem that poses that I'm worried about, and I don't know if there's any like laws that can be passed to help with this, but as a seller, it's hard not to want to take the offer that's cash closing in 12 days. That's $40,000 over asking, right? But if we're not careful, they also predict that by 2030, 50% of the nation is going to be owned by these large corporations that are just turning homes into rental. And I think that's really going to hurt home ownership for people that want to build equity for themselves and for the future. So
housing availability in general. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I can tell you as the president of Missouri Realtors, these are conversations that we're having on the regular basis as far as our advocacy, what our policies are on any bills that are coming out, is protecting private property rights, but both for those who are property owners and investors, but also making sure that regular, everyday people can stay in the market and we don't become a nation of renters. This is on the forefront. We're having conversations on this on the regular, but there is no easy answer because we want to represent all interest in regards to private property rights. And so it becomes a real gray. It doesn't become a black and white issue. There's a real gray area here in how we deal with that.
But I think what we're demonstrating here is that not only do you guys provide excellent service and opportunity to people that are newer to the association or newer to the industry, but you also give them a voice, right? So the issues that they're experiencing, it's important that the association and the other people that are in the field and that team leads and that brokers know how to cater to people that are newer in the industry.
Right.
And they don't just cater to people who have been experienced for 10, 15, 20, 40 years, right? We've got to make sure that people that are newer to the industry are taken care of because they're the future of the business.
Yeah. And so things like that, being able to navigate situations both on a transactional basis, but also, knowing kind of what's going on in our industry and how to navigate those situations. And
well, I mean, we're looking at advocacy policies every single day. We're having a meeting on Monday where we're going through several things in regards to short-term rentals. And there's some possibilities of trying to pass some laws that those become commercial properties versus residential properties, which then changes the taxing system on them. Like, we're looking at this from all different angles and how can we help protect the American dream. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, under all is the land is our, motto at Missouri Realtors. And how do we protect that? So we're coming up close on time, and I do want to respect the time that we've asked of you. So my last question, and you may have just covered this with what you did, but the last question I ask all of our guests is, what else? What else do you want our listeners to know? What else should we have asked you? What else is there? And most importantly, how can people get involved with YPN?
I think also now more than ever is a time for us to unify and make sure that we help each other, not run, headbutting each other in transactions and stuff like that, especially with how much division is happening in this country right now. It's wild to see if you take a step back and actually look at it. There's just so much happening, and we're not going to dive into any of that because we're out of time, but there's a lot of intense division happening in this country right now. So I think now more than ever, unifying and all being on the same page and helping each other networking is more important than ever. But anyways, as far as YPN goes, if you want to get involved with YPN, first and foremost, if you want to just come to events, if you want to come to the fundraiser, if you want to come to the happy hours, if you want to come to the holiday party, you do not have to be technically signed up for YPN to be a part of the organization. So just see when the events are, come to them, come hang out with us. But if you do want to be on the committee, which is an awesome committee, and like we said, it's kind of the gateway drug to be part of more involved with KCRAR and some of the stuff that happens behind the scenes. But KCRAR sends out an email, I think late in the year, that asks if you want to be a part of any of the committees. So you just jump on, say you want to be part of YPN, and usually it's not too difficult unless we have too many submissions to be on that committee. So that's how I started. I just kind of signed up, jumped on the committee, and next year was Vice, and this year is El Presidente. So
I love it. We are all byproducts of YPN in this room. So I absolutely, as a mama bear to YPN, national chair, Missouri founder, this is near and dear to my heart. This is one of my favorite groups ever. So just thank you for the service that you're giving to our organization and everything that you do to help our future generation here in real estate in Kansas City. And thank you for your time today, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you guys hear that? It's our favorite organization.
It is
YPN.
It is.
I'm looking sideways like there's people watching hey, did you hear that? All you KCRAR people? But nobody's there. So.
Even within the national organization, it's my favorite. So, but thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.